or faulting, it has tended to push, or it tends to pull them apart. You can see the two arrows moving away from each other. And if we have a compressional force acting on the earth crust, instead of pulling them apart, it will try to compress them to give rise to a block mountain. Block mountains are formed when the earth cracks due to faulting. And this may be as a result of tensional or compressional forces. Like I explained earlier, that the tensional force tends to pull apart the rock materials, and the compressional force tends to push them together or bring them together. Tensional force tends to pull the earth crust apart, thus producing what we call a normal fault, whereas the compressional force tends to shorten the crust, producing reverse fault. Reverse fault occurs when the hanging wall moves upward relative to the footwall. Volcanic mountains, like the name implies, it has to do with volcanic activities. And these are some of the characteristics of a volcanic mountain. It contains lava. Lava is magma that has reached the surface of the earth and is flowing already. Volcanic mountains have irregular sides. The sides follow no particular pattern or arrangement, and they are usually conical in shape. An example of volcanic mountain include Kilimanjaro, Himalaya, and Fuji mountains. These illustrate volcanic mountains. The first figure, 16A, is a volcanic mountain, a typical example or illustration of a volcanic mountain. And a 16B is a cross-section through a volcano, where you have the seal, you have the lava, you have the ash, you have the conduit through which the magma passes or moves to get to the surface, and a vent where on getting to the surface it passes or comes out. And these are various composition of the volcanic mountain, a mode of formation of volcanic mountain. Volcanic mountains is formed from materials such as molten lava, cinders, ash, dust, etc. that are ejected from the earth crust through vents or fissures. These materials fall around the vent in successive layers, forming a large volcanic cone. Volcanic mountains are also called mountains of accumulation, because as this lava fall around the sites of the vent or fissures, occasionally and over time they are accumulated until they give rise to a volcanic mountain. Finally, we have the residual mountains. Residual mountain, just like the name implies, is formed from remains of already existing mountains. They have irregular surfaces and steep sides. They are caused by agents of denudation. Denudation is the gradual washing of the surface of, let's say, pre-existing rock, maybe by water, action of running water, ice, winds, etc. Examples of residual mountains include the highlands of Scotland, the highlands of Scandinavia, etc. You can see an existing rock that have undergone gradual washing of the surface, that's denudation, to give rise to what we call a residual mountain. The mode of formation of residual mountain. Like I said before, they are formed from already existing mountains which are reduced by agents of denudation, such as running water, ice, and wind. After denudation, which involved gradual removal of the surface of the mountain, the remaining hard and very resistant parts of the existing mountain form what we call the residual mountain. They are also called mountains of denudation. Now let us consider few importance of mountains to man. 1. Mountains are tourist attraction sites. Example, we have the Olomo Rock, the Swiss Alps, etc. Mountains are also sources of river. We have the River Niger from the Guinea Highlands. River Niger gets its source of water from, of course, the Guinea Highlands. Minerals like tins, gold, etc. are mined from highlands. Mountains also serve as walls of defense, especially in the olden days. And they are also natural boundaries. Example, we have the Cameroon Mountain, which serve as a boundary between Cameroon and Nigeria. And they are also important for use as construction materials. Rocks from highlands are also important here because they are used for building and other construction purposes. Mountains also encourage relief rainfall. Example, areas like Jos and the Cameroon Mountains. Now, inasmuch as mountains are of advantage to man, they are equally of disadvantage to man. Let us see their disadvantages. One is that they are barriers to communication. Areas where we have mountains, it is difficult, if not impossible, to construct means of communication like roads, railways, airports, and they also prevent human habitation. Areas where you have mountains are usually associated with cold weather. Thus, they do not enhance the habitation of humans, and as such, those areas will experience no human habitation because the environment or the weather there is not conducive or favorable to support human habitation. Mountains also promote soil erosion. Now, in areas where we have mountains, due to the steep slopes or the steep sides, water runs down these sides so rapidly in very high speed, causing soil erosion, which could be detrimental to our immediate environment. And mountains also occupy good land space where we would have used to do one or two things, maybe build houses and other important things for the benefit of man. Because of the presence of these mountains, such things cannot be actualized. Now let's look at plains or lowlands. Plains are extensive area of level or gentle undulating land. usually few meters above the sea level. There are various types of plains, and this is based on their mode of formation. We have structural plains, we have erosional plains, and depositional plains. The structural plains. Structural plains are relatively undisturbed horizontal surfaces of the earth. They are usually formed by bedded sedimentary rocks. Examples are Russian platforms and the Great Plains of the US.